Do you think these people have a rational understanding of history, like the
No,
past?
no.
Because, for example, if you are an American now, and by extension, I usually stay here, meaning if you are a white American, meaning you are not even original Americans. You are
Right,
coming from Europe.
right.
So it means now that if how do you think you have a legitimate right to this land? How do you justify that? Do you understand that a lot of Europeans are in Australia? They came from Europe. Do you understand that? That there are a lot of millions of Europeans in South Africa? What do you think is going to happen? That those people should return to Europe? Now, those African Americans in America should return to Africa? Is that the understanding? Or just because you are a European, you are the owner of this world? So,
Basically.
how do they? That's
There
what
you
I'm trying to
go. I mean,
understand if they know history.
you know the history. You know about what happened in Congo. You know about with the colonization all over Africa. You know about what colonization did to India. You know about what colonization did to the United States of America. You know what it did to Canada. I mean, everywhere this has happened, these people have declared to be the rulers of this people. I mean, look at Leopold. Leopold came to the Congo and claimed to be the king of the Congo, and was called there. He has statues in the Congo to this very day. So here's this theory that wherever we come, we rule. This is the theory of white supremacy. And it's no different here in America. It's no different.
But are they really white supremacy or just white terrorist? Because
Basically,
now,
the same thing.
when you are saying now that they are supremists, I mean now for you to be supreme, you need to commit a kind of crime. But
Right.
being a crime, now I think there is a different way we need to understand these things. If we are calling them supreme now, it means that we are legitimizing them. But if we understand it to be, because now I think the people in Buffalo today are not going to be seeing the perpetrator of this act as a supreme person to them.
No,
I
no,
think they see him as a criminal.
we do.
So,
We don't see him when we call the term white supremacy. That's a thinking. The thinking. These people think that they are white. They are supreme because they're white. So it's
mhm.
not that we see them as supreme, it's what they believe they are themselves. So when we say this person is a white supremacist or a racist, he hates people based off race, or he believes him being white is superior to others. It's really the ist means his own personal thinking. It doesn't mean but other people believe that he's supreme. Just so we clarify that.
That is very important. I want you to spend some time there because it's just like I was saying before now that in the media, in the mainstream media, he's not being described as a terrorist. Whereas if another person has committed the same crime, have done the same act, I don't want to say whether it's a crime now. Let's say they have done this good thing, he will be called a terrorist. You see? So now they want us to call him a supremacist as it were, as a person fighting for a value, no? Because he is fighting for a race, right? So that is why he have done this. So that is a justification for his art. Therefore, he's not necessarily a terrorist.
Right.
But I am saying that from my point of view, from an African point of view, from the point of view of the victim of this case, I don't think he is actually there is any way to justify what he had done other than being a
Exactly.
terrorist. So
Exactly.
is it possible that we can stick to this? Is it possible?
Yeah,
I'm just
we
thinking.
need to. And I advise anybody out there listening, all your listeners, that we need to start calling him a terrorist, because at the end of the day, he shot two white people too. So this is not just terror just for black people. There were white people in the store as well who heard those shots, who saw those dead bodies. They were terrorized too. They're traumatized too by his actions. So his actions by no means is not terrorizing an entire community. It's in terrorizing an entire city. You're not you may have targeted just a small black region, but again, like I said earlier today, people are so mixed up now. You're not going to go into a store of a black community and just still find black people. You're going to find white folks working there in the deli, at the cash register. You're still going to find some white people who live in that area shopping. This is why this was poorly calculated. It was stupid. It was cowardly. to go and target and shoot down elderly women, and a security guard who was a Buffalo police officer as well. This is the actions that's plaguing this city right now, and it's coming from a terrorist, as you say, and we need to start calling it terrorism.
Thank you so much for that. I like that very well because I think if we are doing that, then it will become easy to even analyze the case better, no? Because if he's a terrorist now, then we're going to be looking for if there are laws against terrorism, because we want the United States to treat those terrorists the way they treat other terrorists in the world.
Yeah.
In that they are terrorizing community, they are terrorizing people. I think that is where the word terrorism comes from, terror. If you commit an act of terror, you are a terrorist.
Exactly.
That is why other people in the world are referred to as terrorists. So I don't think we should give them a special treatment because, okay, they are fighting, because they are afraid. If you are afraid, go to your home and hide.
Mm-hmm.
There is no law that says you should go and kill somebody because you are afraid.
Yeah.
So if you commit an act of terror, then you are a terrorist. I think that can be quite easy.
That's very easy, and it should be, and it should be that way. It should be that way, but again, the policy or whatever what may have be politically may be the reason why they don't want to paint it as an American citizen being a terrorist to his own country. That could be why they're not, describing it as that. But to be clear on the record, this is a terrorist act, and there are people, including the president, who saw it as a terrorist act as well. But again, law enforcement here has not prosecuted it as terrorism yet.
Probably because it's for the African people, it's for African American, it's not really for white people.
Exactly.
And so for this guy now, and for people like him who are fighting for the white people, no, because they are fighting for the white. That is what they said, no.
Mm-hmm.
So it means now that if they enlarge, because they said they are preparing for race war. That is what I think many of them actually are saying, no. What I here do not understand there is that by this race war, they want people to leave the United States for them. They want Africans in Europe to leave Europe for them. But I'm not yet clear if they also want to leave other land that they occupy and then go home. Do you think it can make any sense like that? That is why I'm thinking before, if there is any possibility of a dialogue to say, okay, fine, this is your land, you stay on your land, I go to my land. Is that what they are negotiating for? Or they say, okay,
they're not,
everybody is inferior.
They're not negotiating at all. They're just committing terrorism. They're causing destruction to make a statement to the government. They're causing mass killing. They're mass killing people to make a statement that we're not leaving here. You're not going to replace us. This is what they're trying to do. They're not telling Africans or Black people or immigrants to leave this country. They're not doing that. They just don't want them to be allowed here. And they're trying to make a statement to the government by the expense of innocent people's lives.
This guy, this 18 years old, is still a baby. This is a baby. 18 years old, killed 10 people. Do you think he has a clear objective other than just talking?
No, he doesn't have a clear objective. Not at all. He's just committing an act of violence because that's the only thing he feels he can do. So, it's one of those things where some people are just evil, wicked, and I think that sometimes we try to be so spiritual and we want to be spiritual and we want to believe the best in people. But the reality is there are wicked people here. There are wicked people on this earth. And we just have to understand it and accept it. Okay. This world is not being ruled by the Most High. This world is being ruled by men who are in a power struggle with each other. And as long as there are power struggles, there will be men dominating men. And as long as there's men dominating and competing with each other for finance, for political power, for religious purposes, or whatever the case may be, for scrambling for money, resources, all of these things, survival, there will always be issues. There will always be pushing against each other, as the scripture says. So these are things that we have to be very careful, trying to get into the brain of a person who's just wicked at heart, who just feels that his last resort is to pick up an assault rifle and kill as many people as he possibly can that are black.